And welcome back to another episode of the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Renée Jordan, and today we are going to have a bit of story time. So let's go ahead and jump over to the Black-Liberation.Tech website and take a look at 4 stories today, and then we'll come back next week. All right, let's go ahead and start by heading over to the Black-Liberation.Tech website. All right, so we're here at the Black-Liberation.Tech website. Remember, it is available in both English and Spanish. We're going to head over to lessons and then scroll down to interactions where we talk about digital literacies. And specifically, we're going to move forward with D 2.1, Embracing Digital Literacies. All right, so for this lesson, we have 4 stories, and you're welcome to read as much or as little as you want. It's to help provide context, to help you in terms of creating a backdrop of things to think about or consider as you move through the lesson and think about what project you want to complete, who you want to talk to, the types of questions that you want to ask, and how you want to prepare. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the first story, and it is called Embracing Digital Literacies. And as you can see here, we have an image that was created by ChatGPT. And for those of you who cannot see it because you're listening only, here's the caption that is underneath the image. A vibrant library space where young girls engage with technology, learning, and creating in a supportive environment. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Tia, a product solutions manager and web development instructor, stood before a group of young girls and their mothers, her excitement palpable. The room was filled with energy as the participants eagerly awaited the lesson on how to navigate and utilize digital spaces to their advantage. Tia smiled and began the lesson. Tia. All right, y'all. Today we're diving deep into the world of digital literacies. But before we start, let me remind you, asking questions and communicating effectively are the most important skills we can develop in today's tech-driven world. And trust me, we're all going to learn these skills together. Nadine, the UX designer, raised her hand, ready to share her thoughts. Nadine. I love this. Asking questions is so key. It's not just about knowing everything, it's about knowing who to ask. For example, my brother runs a company and he constantly asks me questions about LinkedIn and social media, like, how do I create content? It's all about getting the right advice and using what you know to make things happen. The girls nodded, listening intently. Some of the mothers also seemed to reflect on Nadine's point about asking for help when navigating new technologies. Ebony, a grassroots organizer, chimed in. Ebony. Exactly, Nadine. Asking the right questions can open up so many opportunities. I mean, think about it. When I started getting into digital tools, I didn't know where to begin. So I turned to friends, colleagues, and mentors, people who had the experience. You don't have to know everything yourself, but you do need to be willing to ask for help when you need it. Tia nodded and continued. Tia. That's right, Ebony. And let's not forget about communicating what we want, need, and know. Whether it's through social media or just talking to someone, we all have to get comfortable expressing ourselves online. Take Nicole, for example. Nicole, you're always communicating with your peers, right? Nicole Bakula, a UX researcher, leaned forward, eager to share her experience. Nicole, definitely. I mean, Twitter is where I communicate most about sports and politics. But when it comes to work, I also follow a lot of professionals in the UX space who share great insights. It's not just about reading their posts, it's about engaging with them. I ask questions, send direct messages to companies, and interact with people who know more than me. It's a constant process of asking and learning. Jazmin, a MarTech publicist, smiled and added her thoughts. Jazmin, that's the beauty of digital spaces. You can literally ask anything, and you get so many different perspectives. Like when I started learning more about creating content, I reached out to people online, people in the marketing world. I didn't hesitate. I asked questions, experimented with new tools, and got feedback. That's how I learned the most. Sharlene, founder of a cultural sensitivity marketing firm, joined the conversation. Sharlene. And don't forget the power of sharing your own knowledge, too. Communication goes both ways. When you share what you know and ask others for their input, it creates a space for learning and collaboration. In fact, when I started working in digital marketing, I was the one asking the tough questions like, how do I make my content more engaging? And then, as I learned, I started helping others and sharing my experiences too. Tia smiled, appreciating the insights from everyone in the room. Tia, y'all are hitting it right on the head. Now let's think about how we can use these digital literacies, asking questions and communicating to build projects. Our goal is to empower each of you to become more confident in using technology, whether it's for creating, collaborating, or learning. Dominique, a software engineer, shared her perspective. Dominique, sometimes it's intimidating to ask questions, especially in a technical field like mine. But I've learned to use platforms like Slack or Stack Overflow to ask for help without feeling embarrassed. It's a community of people just like me who share their experiences and provide feedback. The key is knowing how to ask the right questions and where to ask them. The room went quiet for a moment as the girls and their mothers absorbed the wisdom shared by the speakers. Tia stood up and began to wrap up the session. Tia, so let's take what we've learned today. Asking questions and communicating effectively isn't just about seeking help. It's about engaging with your environment, learning from others, and sharing your own knowledge. Now, I want you to think about a project you're working on and start asking yourself, what do I need to know? Who can help me? How can I communicate what I've learned and share it with others? Jaleesa, a digital marketing campaign manager and research scientist, added her thoughts. Jaleesa, it's also about communicating in the right way. Whether you're asking for help or sharing your work, you have to do it in a way that's clear, respectful, and effective. For example, in digital marketing, I ask questions all the time, whether it's about design trends or analytics, but I always make sure my questions are clear and to the point. Communication is key to making sure your message gets heard. Tia smiled at the group, excited to see them applying what they had learned. Tia, exactly, Jaleesa. Asking the right questions and communicating effectively are skills that will help you not just in tech, but in any career or personal endeavor. So, as you continue to learn and grow, remember to always ask, always communicate, and always be willing to share your knowledge with others. The group applauded, excited and inspired. They were ready to continue their journey of learning and applying digital literacies, starting with asking questions and communicating with confidence. All right, next we have our second story. The title of this is Digital Literacies in Action. Once again, we have another image that was generated by ChatGPT. Here is the caption for this image. A diverse group of girls and women of various ages united by a shared love of learning and technology in a bright and welcoming library space. Okay, let's take a look. The after school program was in full swing, and Tia, the product solutions manager and web development instructor, was leading the session. The room was buzzing with energy as a group of girls and their mothers sat at tables, each with their laptops open, ready to dive into the world of digital literacies. Tia stood in front, her eyes scanning the room as she prepared to explain the importance of using digital tools to communicate, collaborate, and make informed decisions. Tia. All right, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about how digital literacy, specifically connecting with others, divvying up tasks, DMing, and justifying your reasoning, can help you succeed in today's world. These are the skills that will make you not just users of technology, but creators and critical thinkers. Nadine, the UX designer, raised her hand and chimed in, eager to share her own experiences with the group. Nadine, one thing I've learned is the power of connecting with others. It's not just about knowing what to do, but knowing who to ask for help. I remember when I was in school, I was struggling to connect with my professors. But once I started building my network and reaching out to people, that's when I began to move forward. Whether it was asking questions on LinkedIn or joining a community on Zoom, it helped me get to the next level. The girls nodded, their eyes wide, realizing the power of connecting with others digitally. Ebony, the grassroots organizer, smiled at Nadine's point and added her own perspective. Ebony, yeah, that's right, Nadine. Staying connected with people around you can really keep you on your toes. I use social media to stay connected to friends, colleagues, and mentors, people who can help me keep up with new trends and share useful resources. Even when I was organizing community events, social media allowed me to connect with organizations and professionals who could help. And let me tell you, being open minded and asking the right questions is what really made the difference for me. Tia smiled and nodded, reinforcing the importance of asking questions and learning from the experiences of others. Tia, absolutely, Ebony. Connecting with others is about more than just staying in touch. It's about engaging with them. It's about asking questions, learning from their experiences, and offering your own insights in return. At this point, Nicole Bakula, the UX researcher, jumped in with her own take on how digital tools allow people to communicate and collaborate in meaningful ways. Nicole, when I'm working in the UX space, I'm constantly connecting with other professionals. Whether it's through Twitter, LinkedIn, or Slack, I'm always sharing content, liking posts, and asking questions. One thing I do a lot is DMing companies. I'll send a direct message and ask for feedback on their products, or even ask for advice on what tools they're using. It's a great way to learn and get advice in real time. Dominique, the software engineer, looked up from her laptop and smiled. Dominique, DMing is key in tech. Sometimes I'm too shy to ask questions in public forums, but sending a quick DM feels less intimidating. It's a great way to ask for help or advice without feeling like you're interrupting a larger conversation. Tia nodded, affirming Dominique's point. Tia. Exactly, Dominique. Direct messaging gives you a more private space to ask questions and engage with others. But there's another important skill we need to talk about: justifying your decisions. Jazmin, the MarTech publicist, raised her hand to share her thoughts. Jazmin, yeah, I agree with that. In my work, I'm constantly making decisions about what kind of content to create, and it's not just about what I like. It's about justifying why a certain piece of content is relevant, how it will engage the audience, and why it aligns with our overall marketing goals. When I have to make a decision, I have to be able to explain it. It's the same thing with the girls here. Whenever you make a decision online, you need to be able to explain why you're doing it and how it connects to the bigger picture. Sharlene, the founder of a cultural sensitivity marketing firm, nodded thoughtfully, adding her insight. Sharlene, justifying decisions is huge. When we were launching campaigns, I had to make sure that every decision was backed up by data. It wasn't just about creating something pretty, it was about why it would work, who it would reach, and how it would help us connect with the audience. Technology and digital tools can help you with that. Tools like Google Analytics or social media insights help us back up our decisions with real numbers and trends. Tia, you all have hit something really important today. When we talk about connecting, divvying up tasks, DMing, and justifying decisions, we're talking about skills that go beyond just using the technology. It's about how we use the tools to make informed decisions, collaborate with others, and communicate effectively. Jaleesa, the digital marketing campaign manager and research scientist, added her thoughts. Jaleesa. It's about sharing your knowledge and collaborating with others. When we collaborate on campaigns, we use digital tools to divide up tasks, track progress, and make sure everyone knows what they're doing. We're all on the same page using tools like Google Docs and Asana to keep track of everything. And when we communicate, we make sure it's clear, concise, and meaningful. Tia looked around the room, proud of the progress everyone had made. Tia, exactly, Jaleesa. It's about using our digital literacies to work smarter, not harder. And remember, the most important thing is to stay connected, ask the right questions, communicate effectively, and always justify the choices you make. With these skills, you'll be ready to succeed in whatever digital space you step into. The room filled with excitement as the girls and their mothers began discussing their next steps, eager to apply the lessons they had learned about digital literacies. They were ready to take on the world, empowered with the tools to connect, collaborate, and communicate in the digital age. All right, next we're moving on to the third story, the digital literacies journey. Once again, we have another image created by ChatGPT. And for those of you who are listening, here's the caption to the image. A strong, confident group of women and girls gathered in a collaborative learning space, empowered by technology and knowledge. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. It was a bright Saturday afternoon at the media center, and a group of girls sat in small circles around their laptops, their mothers and guardians seated nearby. The air was filled with excitement and curiosity as Tia, the product solutions manager and web development instructor, stood at the front ready to kick off the day's lesson on digital literacies. Tia. All right, ladies, today we're diving into the world of digital literacies, but it's not just about knowing how to use tools like social media or video platforms. It's about how you interact with those tools, how you promote what you love, how you publicize your ideas, and even how you can stream your creations. These four skills will shape the way you connect with the world. The room buzzed with energy as the participants, whom Tia had asked to introduce themselves, began talking about their interests. One girl, Maria, stood up and smiled shyly. Maria, I love to make digital art, and I post it on Instagram, but it feels like I'm just one of many. How do I make my post stand out? Tia nodded, knowing that this was the perfect moment to dive into the topic of interacting with online communities. Tia, Maria, that's a great question. Digital art is everywhere, and it's easy to feel lost in the crowd. But here's where interaction comes in. When you share your work, don't just post and forget it. Interact with others, comment on their posts, respond to feedback, and engage in conversations. That's how you build a community of people who will support and promote your work. It's not just about posting content, it's about building connections. Nadine, the UX designer, jumped in, reflecting on how interaction played a role in her own career. Nadine, when I was designing user interfaces for cars, it wasn't just about making things look pretty. It was about understanding what people needed and how they interacted with the technology. For me, interaction is about listening to your audience and learning from them. It's the same with digital content. Listen to the feedback you get and adjust accordingly. It's about constant communication. The girls nodded thoughtfully as Sharlene, the founder of a cultural sensitivity marketing firm, stood up to add her thoughts on promotion. Sharlene, let's talk about promotion. That's where the magic happens. For me, as a marketer, it's all about telling a story. You have something great. Now you need to share it with the world. Social media, newsletters, videos, these are all tools you can use to promote your work, your passions, your talents. When you're starting, it's important to create content that reflects who you are, but also think about how you can market it. Don't just rely on others to find you. You need to put yourself out there. Ebony, the grassroots organizer, raised her hand and shared her perspective. Ebony, I totally agree with Sharlene. When I organize events, I use platforms like Facebook and Instagram to promote them. But it's not just about getting people to show up, it's about creating a conversation. When you get people talking about your event or content, that's when you know you've done your job. Promotion is about getting people to engage with your idea. Dominique, a software engineer, was eager to share her thoughts on publicizing work online. Dominique, now, when it comes to publicizing, that's a big deal. You can't just assume people will find your work on their own. You have to make it visible. That's why platforms like Twitter and Instagram are so important. They help you share your content with a wider audience. But don't forget to think strategically. You want to know when and where to post, who to tag, and how to reach the right people. Jazmin, a MarTech publicist, smiled and added her experience in publicizing on social media. Jazmin, I started by sharing my work on Instagram, and it was a slow process. But then I realized I needed to expand my reach. That's when I started promoting my work through publicizing it more, collaborating with influencers, and sharing posts that were in line with my personal brand. You have to keep pushing your content out there until it finds the right audience. Tia noticed the enthusiasm and thought it was the perfect time to introduce streaming. Tia. And then there's streaming, a really exciting way to share what you love in real time. Whether it's a live Q&A on Instagram, a Twitter stream, or a YouTube live session, streaming allows you to interact with your audience in a way that's more personal. It's not just about posting a video, it's about creating an experience that people can be a part of. You can answer questions, show behind the scenes footage, and even let people ask you anything they want. The girls and their mothers nodded, understanding the importance of this new form of interaction. Jaleesa, the digital marketing campaign manager and research scientist, joined in with her perspective. Jaleesa, streaming is all about connecting. It's about having that real time interaction with your audience. I've used live streams for research projects, but I've also seen it used in marketing campaigns to give customers a behind the scenes look at a company or product. It's a powerful tool for making people feel involved and valued. Tia smiled and turned to the group. Tia, exactly, Jaleesa. Streaming gives you the opportunity to interact with your audience in a way that's unique to the digital space. But remember, promotion, publicizing, and streaming only work if you're interacting consistently. Whether it's answering a question, sharing a new project, or simply commenting on someone else's work, interaction is the key to building your digital presence. The session ended with the participants excited about applying these digital literacies to their own projects. They understood that by interacting, promoting, publicizing, and streaming their work, they could carve out their own digital spaces, engage with communities, and create opportunities for themselves in the digital world. Tia closed the session with a final thought. Tia. So, remember, these tools are here for you to use. Interact, promote, publicize, and stream. These are the skills that will make you stand out in the digital world. Now let's get started on your first digital project. All right, so now we have reached our last story before we jump into the different steps to the lesson. This one is story number 4, Digital Literacies Workshop. And once again, here is a fourth image that was created by ChatGPT. For those of you who are listening only, I'll read the caption. A creative and focused group of girls working together in a vibrant, modern library where collaboration and technology meet. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. It was a lively afternoon at the local middle school's media center. The room buzzed with the sound of clicking keyboards and excited chatter as a group of girls, along with their mothers and guardians, gathered for their afternoon digital literacy workshop. The room was filled with energy as the girls prepared to dive into their projects, applying the skills They were learning in real time. Tia, the product solutions manager and web development instructor, was the first to address the group. All right, everyone, she said, standing at the front with a warm smile. Today, we're going to focus on two major skills, teaching and taking notes. These are key digital literacies you can apply everywhere, whether you're working on a class project, developing your own website, or just trying to learn something new. The girls leaned in, eager to hear more. A girl named Jazmin raised her hand, curious about what Tia meant by teaching. Tia smiled and nodded. Great question, Jazmin. You see, teaching isn't just about standing in front of a class. It's about sharing what you know with others, whether it's through a YouTube tutorial, a live streaming session, or even a simple blog post. Teaching digital skills is a powerful way to share knowledge, and today you'll get a chance to do just that, teaching one another while also learning along the way. Tia gestured toward the project boards around the room, each one filled with tasks like create a personal website and design a digital poster for social media. We're going to work in pairs, and I want each of you to teach your partner something digital. It could be how to format a document, set up a WordPress page, or even create an animation. But the goal is to teach in a way that someone else can follow along with. As the girls paired up, Ebony, the grassroots organizer, took a moment to address the group, her voice energetic and full of encouragement. Look, when I first started teaching, I didn't have the digital tools we have today. I had to take notes on paper, and if I missed something, I had to go back to the beginning. But now, taking notes digitally is a game changer. You can type, record, or even snap photos of things you want to remember. Ebony picked up her tablet and began to demonstrate. With tools like Google Docs or OneNote, you can organize your thoughts, add links, or even insert videos. Digital notes are interactive. They're not just about writing down information, they're about connecting what you're learning with real world resources. And I want each of you to think about that as you take notes during your project work today. You're not just writing things down, you're organizing and connecting your ideas to the broader world. The mothers and guardians who had been quietly observing now looked more engaged. Nadine, the UX designer, stepped forward to share her thoughts with the group. Taking notes is important in any setting, whether you're attending a meeting or working on your personal projects, but how you take these notes matter. I know it's tempting to just write down whatever you hear or see, but it's more important to teach yourself how to capture the essence of what you're learning. That way, when you come back to your notes later, you'll understand them and you can pass that understanding on to others. Nadine shared her screen to show the group a digital board she had created for her own UX design class. See this? It's a simple diagram that helps students visualize the process. This kind of teaching requires organizing your thoughts in a way that others can follow. And that's what we're going to do today. Share your knowledge in a way that others can easily understand and learn from. Jaleesa, the digital marketing campaign manager and research scientist, added her perspective, her voice calm and reflective. When I first started working in digital marketing, I was always taking notes about what worked and what didn't. But over time, I realized that my teaching came through in how I communicated those lessons to others. And you know what? It didn't always need to be formal. Sometimes teaching was about sharing a quick tip through social media or giving feedback on someone else's project. It's about being open and helping each other grow. Dominique, the software engineer, leaned in, excited to share her insights. As an engineer, teaching others and taking notes digitally is crucial to my job. I use code documentation to teach new developers how to follow certain practices, and I use my notes to help me solve coding challenges. Digital tools like GitHub are great because they allow me to keep track of changes, notes, and improvements. If you're not teaching others along the way, it's hard to track your growth. Nicole Bakula, the UX researcher, smiled, reflecting on how teaching and taking notes intersected in her own work. As a researcher, the best way I've found to teach what I know is through creating resources that help people understand complex ideas. I use online tools to teach my team how to navigate new research findings, and we share notes on platforms like Google Docs, where we can collaborate in real time. Tia stood up and motioned for everyone's attention. All right, everyone. Now that you've heard from all of these amazing women, it's time to get started. Today, you're going to teach something, take notes digitally, and learn from each other. This is a space where all of us, no matter our experience, can grow together. The girls jumped into their task, each working diligently, teaching, taking notes, and collaborating on their projects. They learned that digital literacies were not just about knowing how to use a tool, they were about how to share that knowledge with others, how to learn together, and how to build a community of practice through teaching and learning. And as the day progressed, their confidence grew, knowing that they had the tools to succeed in the digital world. All right, so here is the lesson. We'll start with the objective and the project choices, and then we'll push pause for the day. Okay, so lesson. Build and share your projects to empower your journey. Objective. The goal of this lesson is for you to develop a project that supports your personal, academic, or professional growth using the digital literacies discussed. By the end of this lesson, you will create a detailed project plan, break it down into actionable steps, and connect with others, especially women in your field, who have done similar work. Step number 1, choose your project focus. Start by selecting a project that aligns with your goals. You can choose one that focuses on your personal development, academic pursuits, or professional career. Consider using one of the following areas as a starting point. So, this is just to get you to start to think about what you want to consider to do as your project for this lesson. So the first one, personal projects, building your online brand, starting a YouTube channel, or creating a personal website. Next, academic projects, develop a research paper, creating a presentation for class, or writing a thesis. Okay. And the last one we have listed here, professional projects, designing a marketing campaign, building a digital product, or launching a service. Here's the tip. Be clear on your purpose/reason for the project, whether it's to enhance your skills, contribute to your community, or build your professional portfolio. All right, so we're going to push pause here and we'll pick up next week, and I'll give you a heads up. My project is going to be a professional project, and specifically something that will help me get the word out about Black-Liberation.Tech as well as Jordan Nuance LLC. So I want you to take the week to think about what type of project you want to work on. Is it a personal project? Is it an academic project? Is it a professional project? Perhaps it's a personal project that will help you in your profession. So think about it. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you plan to do. With all that being said, thanks again for listening to another episode of the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Renée Jordan. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share, rate, and review the podcast to help it become more discoverable. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.